A world built on fantasy.
Most of these people are not ready to be unplugged.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
Existence could be beautiful or it could be ugly. But that's on you.
You want to build something.
You're going to build something.
Need to build on it now?
I mean, look at all these people. They're free because of us. Because of what we did in this room.
Gee, microchains, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to our developer workshop, the first of 2026, here with Matthew Bidet. Matthew, how are you?
Good. Hey, everybody. Happy New Year.
We are excited to kick off the year by talking a little bit about what happened at the end of last year in terms of the fourth wave of the Build-a-thon. We are now in the midst of the fifth wave of the Build-a-thon. You just saw the video. So those submissions are going to be due on Sunday for the largest prize money yet of the Build-a-thon. It keeps going up. And Matthew, also, you got a bunch of different updates to talk about, everything that you've been doing. You basically had no break. I feel like you've just been heads down working nonstop over this whole time.
I had a break. I had a little bit of a break. But no, it was a good, productive holidays otherwise.
Okay, good to hear it. All right, well, let's get into the Build-a-thon stuff first, and then we'll talk a little bit more, Matthew, about what you've been working on. So, Wave 4 recap. This ended, when did Wave 4 end? Well, we'll look at that in just a second, but this was sent out on December 19th. So we're already a couple weeks prior, but I hadn't had a chance to kind of go over it. So 64 submissions, 17 winners. The top project was MicroScribble. So congrats to the builder of that project. We gave out XP, 4,000 XP for all the builders of green and yellow projects. Those are projects that were, either promising or kind of met some minimum requirements. Builders who looked like they put in a solid effort and were really trying. The deadline is this coming Sunday to submit, or Monday morning, depending on what time zone you're in. And again, the reminder on submission basics: it must compile and run. It must include a functional Linera contract. And there must be a live demo that runs against a testnet Conway and or uses the app template that we've created and provided to you. So this are the Wave 4 winners. As I mentioned, there were like 17 different winners. Pretty concentrated voting this time, which meant that those funds were kind of more or less evenly distributed across these. So no big skew there. A lot of the winners that we've seen previously, but also some new winners that have not ever won before. Some of these projects that were submitted for the first time in Wave 4, then won, or other projects that were being built on and continued to kind of get better and better over time and finally had reached that threshold where they were compiling and running, and the judges, determined that they deserve some prize money. So those are your Wave 4 winners. We are now in Wave 5, which ends on January 11th, and then the evaluation phase. We may extend this evaluation phase. Matthew and I are going to talk about that after the call. So the next build phase might not start exactly on the 16th. It might start a couple of days later. We just want to make sure that we have enough time to judge all the submissions, because the judging gets harder each and every time we do this. As the projects get better, the judging gets harder. Matthew, you had a chance to look at some of the submissions this past round. I know I'm kind of asking you to look back into 2025 right now, but
That's right.
anything that you remember?
Okay, that's a tough one. I I remember we saw some good ones for sure, and some builders, they really make the efforts to integrate with our wallet, for instance, and in fact several wallets, because there's also a community made wallet. So shout out for builders who did that, because that's always very impressive and useful work. And what else can I say? Thank you also for people who made the effort to follow the template. That's definitely or putting videos and explaining, like exactly what they did. That's always helping us judge the submissions more fairly.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps with being able to judge the submissions. So, there are 3 different types of applications that are being created as part of this build-a-thon. Primarily, there's prediction markets, which we're going to be talking about a little bit more later, games, and market infrastructure. And we really did see kind of a range of different submissions across those. Last thing I'll mention is anyone who's here, who's listening, please obtain the developer role in Discord, because the best place to ask questions and get feedback is in dev chat, which is a private channel in Discord that you need the developer role in order to unlock. And the way you do that is by going to guild.xyz/Linera. And as long as you can kind of meet these basic requirements in terms of having a GitHub history, then you can unlock that developer role. And if you want to join the developer chat but can't meet these requirements, just hit up me or one of the mods on Discord, and we can manually assign that role to you. Okay, that's the overview. Let's get into the presentation, Matthew, that you put together here.
Yes. All right. Cool. So I'll start with the so first, Happy New Year. Best wishes for everybody, to everybody for 2026. It's going to be a good year. We are pretty excited of the latest updates on our side, and in particular, since I'm talking about engineering, the progress is really interesting, as on the infrastructure and also on the product side. So on the infrastructure, some of you may have seen we've open sourced the Game of Life demo, and that we disconnected the so that gives away all the solutions. So we also disconnected the points, and so we are happy to share the code that we made. I thought that was a very interesting exercise also for us to dog food. Made us improve the infrastructure a lot, and hope that people enjoy reading the code and maybe using some of the techniques there. What else did we do? We released the new SDK. And it's a good one that was helping us support the prediction market applications that I'm going to talk in a minute. So on the infrastructure side, if you've been following the commits, you've seen that there's a new concept of plugins for the node service, which is really interesting. So, and I know some people have had to do that by hand. And so now there's the possibility to declare an application that's going to use as a sort of processor for events. And so the idea is that if you want to implement an oracle, for instance, you would like to be able to talk to a chain, talk to an application on a chain, and basically ask questions to that application. And that application may want to query the internet or do some AI computations, and that cannot be always done on chain, right? So sometimes you just query a particular application that is being executed on a particular chain, and you ask a question, say, hey, can you compute this for me? And so now we have a sort of a generic infrastructure, a generic API, so that you can this application is gonna be able to kind of emit an event or change its state, and the node service that is looking at the application realizes, oh, this application is asking me to do a task off chain. So now I can do the thing. I can run a particular program that has been declared when you run the node service, and so you run the task off chain, and then you create an operation on chain to return the result of the off chain operation. And so it's a pattern that is very powerful, that allows you to do any kinds of oracles with that are hybrid on-chain, off-chain. For instance, you could have an off-chain query, but you could still have the on-chain verification of the query if there are like some signatures that were given to you by the off-chain system that you may want to verify. So yeah, pretty happy with this development. We'll add more demos and along the way, and in fact, so but yeah, it's a very powerful pattern. So we're very happy to start supporting it very officially.
Very cool. Yeah, Niraj thinks that the web client update is also super useful. So
yes, and then I was going to yes. So we made some very, very strong changes in the web library. So that first supporting multiple chains, and so you may now follow different chains from the web, not just one. And then also we now support auto signing. So what happens is that you when the user connects, you can set up a temporary key, a temporary address that's going to be used to auto sign all the blocks that want to receive messages or process events coming from the rest of the infrastructure. And that's fair, because when you look at normal user workflows, users are used to sign their own transactions. So when they want to do something, usually there's a transaction that is being created, and then you ask the user to sign the transaction. But users are not used to sign transactions that need to react to external events, and so we're doing this for them now. We're auto-signing all the event processing, all the message processing coming from the rest of the infrastructure is now auto-signed. So that's pretty cool. And of course, we'll add more refinements. There will be more options in the future where if you want to auto-sign also transactions, because maybe some transactions are for a particular application are considered a little mild, and we don't want to bother the users with that. So you will also have auto-signing in this case. But for now, we're just doing the message processing and the event processing. And in the case of the prediction market app that I'm going to talk in a minute, this happens a lot. So basically, we had no choice. Because basically, there are certain versions of the app where you receive an event every time the price changes, and so we changed that as well. But that's the idea, like something is happening, like somebody sends you a message or tells you something, and sometimes you just want to process the information and not actually sign the block.
There is this question about
autosign is every time you sign something, but the user doesn't actually have to click on with the box. Like when you don't have autosign, every time you want to sign something, there's a box, and the user has to click yes. I want to sign this.
So give an example of when it would be a bad user experience to have them have to sign every single time.
Yeah, the simplest example would be in Linera. So if somebody sends you assets, so that's called a cross-chain message, and it will, on the receiving side, by default, if you're logged in, by default, your web UI is gonna create a block to actually receive the money and confirm, sort of confirm that you're receiving the money, and then that's going to update your local balance and make the transfer visible in your UI typically. And that requires creating a block that contains the message that is incoming, and that's the kind of block you don't really want to sign, because it's kind of like there's no the operation of receiving a message is not privileged. It's not running with actually the I'll say that the permission of the user. So there's no real danger auto signing this. It's kind of a no-brainer that you don't want to sign it, and you just want to auto sign, create the block automatically.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's
all right.
it's a little different about the way the microchains work in what you're describing, right? Because when you're sending me assets, I'm kind of like minting those assets on my own microchain, right? So like, definitely don't want to have to sign every single time that happens.
Right. Yeah. So the assets are already. It's a little bit like you receive some mail, and the post office asks you to confirm that you received the mail. Like you have to.
I hate when UPS comes and you have to sign
you have to meet the guy, handshake, say, okay, I received the mail. I signing here, and sometimes you just want the thing to be in your mail and just pick it up right away. It's a little bit like that. Okay, another thing that we did is we realized that we were logging the so in Wasm, so if you've been developed some apps on Linera, there's a logging system, and by default we take the logs of the Wasm applications, the user applications, and we just print them when the service is running, when the chain is run, and that's nice for development, but that's actually kind of bad for security. And we're looking at the logs of the validators of the testnet. We're seeing a lot of logs coming from your applications, guys, and we thought, okay, that's nice, but we prefer not to see the user logs in our system, and so we created an option to disable them. However, this option was a little heavy-handed. And so there's a fix coming in the if you're developing, you probably want to be on the testnet branch, on the tip of the testnet branch, or migrate to the new SDK as soon as it's possible, as soon as it's available, so that you actually sees your logs, because it's really hard to debug anything when you don't have logs, and it's a bit painful to. So I made it easy to re-enable the logs. So sorry about that. Hopefully nobody was completely confused. Like, where are my logs? I don't see it. That's it. So yeah.
There probably was one.
To make things worse, stack traces are known to not work well in Wasm. So really, when you don't have logs and there's a crash, you really don't know what the hell happened. So that was a bit unfortunate, but yeah. So there's going to be a next version of the SDK with a bunch of cool features. So stay tuned.
Very cool.
All right.
Do you have a TBD on SDK 15.9?
No, this week. Yeah, this week.
Oh, great! Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So all you builders who are working towards, maybe you want to do the 15.9 before submitting your code, because for the build-a-thon, you'll have a chance to kind of look at those logs, opt into those logs, and check it out.
Well, yeah, especially if you just migrated to 0.15.8, because that's the one that is kind of killing the logs. So you probably want to migrate to 0.15.9 as soon as possible.
Yeah. No, I assume a lot of people are still using 15.7 probably.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Main branch.
Okay, and main branch, same as last week. We've been working a lot on performance, stability, scalability. Checkpoints is a very exciting feature that's going to be also needed in the future, and so we're working on all of that. Good progress on the EVM as well. Yeah, the work continues on the main branch. The next testnet is going to be pretty shiny. I'm telling you that.
Next testnet. All right, we'll have to come back to next testnet some other time.
That's right.
All right, that's not happening this week, I assume, right?
No. It's going to take a little bit of time.
All right. Well, let's talk about the prediction market demo sneak peek here. This is exciting. I like.
That's right. Peeks. So we were talking about this in December already, and so we actively working on a prediction market. I call it a demo, but it's actually more than a demo already. it's gonna be an app that we put together and we release in the coming weeks with incentives on the testnet, with incentives and fun predictions to be made, for the community. So we're pretty excited about this. Today, so last time I talked about the general architecture with the number of chains, the fact that we're using tokens for the contract, yes contracts, no contracts. Today, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the way it works, the way the market works. I'll try to stay a bit high level, but if there are questions, I can explain more. So under the hood, you may know that an exchange usually works with something that is called a central limit order book. And then in the case of decentralized exchange, there's another option, which is called automated market making or makers, AMM. So Uniswap is an example that is what was one of the first AMMs that was fully on chain. Order books can be, so Wall Street run them off chain, obviously, but then more and more we're seeing them on chain. And so for the for prediction markets on Linera, what we do is we have a combination of an order book and an AMM. Oh yeah, and so I should say the nice thing about AMMs is that you can so you have essentially liquidity providers that are putting some liquidity in the AMM, and then anybody can come and there's always a price. So the AMM is always willing to buy or sell some of the assets in exchange of base tokens at a particular price. May not be a very good price, but there's always a price. Order books, on the other hand, they when they are empty, if there's no buyer, if there's no seller, the order book is empty. And when you come in, you don't see a price. Like basically, it's like there's the market. If the market is empty, you don't see a price. Which, in the case of prediction markets, is potentially a problem because we know that they could be in a system, especially Linera. We are very happy to have lots of prediction markets, and some of them at the beginning they may be a little slow. Like you just created a market, nobody knows about it, so it could very well be that there's no buyer, no seller, and so AMMs are useful. So in fact, what you would like is the best of both worlds. You'd like order books on one hand when the market is very live, so that you have accurate prices and like kind of the best trading tools for developer for traders. And but then when the market is a bit slow or just getting started, you'd like to have an AMM to make sure there's always a price. When the order book is very hot, AMMs may not be enough because you may not be able to provide enough liquidity, and we know that AMMs they are very passive, and unless there are ways to make that better, but AMMs when you put the liquidity, you kind of don't know where the market is going to go, and so it's hard to make money with AMMs basically as a liquidity provider. So that's why people also, in general, for the most hot markets, they prefer order books. But okay, so now the question is, how do you combine both? And okay, I have two questions actually. How do you combine order books and AMMs? And then also, what's the difference between order books and AMMs for an exchange and for a prediction market? So let's start with the second point. So in the case of an exchange, so you usually have one asset that you want to trade, and you have a base token. So for instance, you have an exchange that is allows you to buy or sell wrapped bitcoins against USDC, right? And so let's say USDC is the base token, and then you have so you can say, hey, I would like to buy 0.01 Bitcoin for this price. Is there any takers? That's typically an order that is called a buy order. And then if you want to sell, you have an ask order. And in the book, what's going to happen is you have the buy order coming in as on the price, and you try to find if there's an ask order in the book that is matching your price. And if not, you just insert your buy order in the book and it becomes pending, and then is waiting for somebody to kind of show up and match your order. And so now in the case of prediction markets, you don't have just one asset. You have two kind of contracts. For a binary market, which is kind of the simplest case to explain, you have two kinds of contracts. You get the yes contract and the no contracts. So as I was mentioning last time, you have three tokens that are being involved in the binary market. You have the base token, and then you have the yes token and the no token. And so now, if you were using two classical order books for your prediction market, so you would be trading the yes token and the no token independently. And believe it or not, that's actually some people are apparently doing that, which is kind of crazy, because when you do that, it means that there could be a moment where the yes price and the no price are not consistent. So one thing that you would expect is that if the yes contract is trading at, for instance, like 60 cents per contract, we know that means that people believe the yes has 60% of probability to happen. So you would expect no contract to trade at 40 cents, or maybe a little less if there's a spread. Sorry, a little more if there's a spread. But if you what's not normal is that what is not expected is that so what you expect is that the price of the yes contract plus the price of a no contract should always be one or above, right? Because otherwise you can just buy a yes and buy a no, and you just print in money, right? So and surprisingly, some implementation of prediction markets are allowing you to have this arbitrage opportunity, and that's kind of weird. That means that you create these arbitrage opportunities that normal people won't really be able to see, and it's really just like people coming in and then they see that the price are not consistent and extracting value. So what's better instead is to have an order book in which you basically hard-coded the fact that when you are basically the price of buying a yes contract should be consistent with the price of selling a no contract, and so that's why we implement it. So so there are four kinds of orders. And in fact, the prices are, that if, for instance, if you want to buy a yes and somebody wants to buy a no, we can match those, because the system can take. So I want to buy a yes for 60 cents, and you want to buy a no for 40 cents. The system can take the entire dollar and create a yes contract and a no contract and give it back to you at the price you are asking, right? So, and that's the kind of trade that shows you that how you make sure that the prices of yes and no are always consistent without arbitrage opportunities. So yeah, but surprisingly, not every implementation out there is doing that, which is kind of crazy, because like I said, it really creates arbitrage opportunities for no reason. And so to avoid that, you kind of have to pay market makers to watch your markets and make sure that they remove the arbitrage opportunity all the time, so that the prices are consistent. So in my view, it's much better to just code that into the market, so that people, when they make, if you make an order, let's say that somebody wants to buy a yes at 60, and you say, oh, I'd like to buy yes. Yeah, I'd like to buy a no at 45. Then in the current implementation that we did, we're going to match the two, and you end up buying a no at 40. Because the price improvement, we find out that in fact somebody wanted to buy yes at 60, and that means that you could buy a no at 40. So we actually give you a no for the price of 40, and you recover 5 cents. Instead of losing 5 cents and to some kind of market maker somewhere. So So yeah, so a very fine implementation was fun to design. And then the last thing I wanted to mention today is that we incorporated. So not only we make sure that the price of no and the price of the yes are never under one, but we also have incorporated the central limit order book and the AMM together in a way that makes sure there is no internal arbitrage. Something also that is surprisingly kind of under-documented on the internet, how to do that. And because you don't want to be in a state where somebody would be able to look at your contract and figure out, oh wow, there are some trades that are waiting in the order book that actually could resolve and talk to the MM. So now I could do a sort of sandwich attack in between the MM and the order book and extract value without a risk. Same thing, it's kind of silly. If you're allowed to do that, that means that some normal user before didn't get the best price when they were interacting with the system. If they left a gap between different parts of your order book and AMM, that means that they didn't get the real price before, and we want to avoid that. So so the way it works is that when you make an order, we're gonna match the order. We're gonna essentially talk to the AMM and the order book alternatively to make sure that you get the best answer from both, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And can you just explain to what extent this is kind of all done behind the scenes, or builders of prediction markets on Linera, how they would be able to like interact or use some of what you're talking about?
So this is done behind the scenes in a smart contract that eventually will be open sourced, and so people will be able to follow the same strategy or even maybe reuse the code. They are yeah, that's and we may even provide an SDK, like officially integrate that into the protocol itself, so that you have the best performance. Because I think this is one of the things that we're seeing. Is that when you really go deep into an application, as the kind of the team of the protocol team, you find that, oh wow, there are some opportunities of optimizing the protocol to support a particular category of applications, and so we're definitely doing that and starting to plan accordingly. To make Linera really the best platform for prediction markets. We know already, by the way, that microchains are amazing for prediction markets because you can run, out of the box, you run every market on a different chain. So that means that you can have as many markets as you want in parallel, and they will all run. They will always be able to run independently, disregarding the other markets. That's. And they can settle at the same time in parallel, and so that's already super interesting to have the horizontal scalability of Linera. But then within a microchain, when you are actually powering a market, we're gonna make that more and more efficient and convenient.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, the fact that so you started by talking about the fact that we've been working on this demo, right, for prediction markets. But what you're now saying is that by working on the demo, it kind of is circular. You're working back on the protocol and how to kind of improve the demo and then improve the protocol.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool. Did you want to?
Somebody was asking if the CLB is on chain or off chain. It's fully on chain.
There you go. Say that one more time.
The central limit order book is on chain, as well as the EMM. Everything is on chain.
So here's some of the notes of what you were just kind of explaining here. This is the yes by, yes asked. So did you want to kind of walk through any of this here?
Well, that's kind of what I was explaining. So you have 4 times of orders. You say, hey, I would like to buy a yes contract. So buying a contract that's gonna resolve to $1 if the yes outcomes is fulfilled, and otherwise to $0. Or you could want to sell a yes contract, or you could want to buy a no contract, or you may want to sell a no contract. Those are the different orders. And every time you make such an order, you would say, and my limit price is this.
Okay. And then this research article here.
Yeah, so AMMs, if you're familiar with Uniswap, there's a very simple formula that tells you, it's the you multiply the different quantity and it's equal to a constant. In the case of prediction markets, the formula is actually more complicated, and there's been a little bit of iterations. And the formula that we picked it's called LMSR. It's actually a really cool improvement over the previous formulas that allows just increases the stability of the system. So I encourage people that are a bit technical and interested. I encourage them to read so there's the first link is a high level article, and the second link is the research paper.
Someone asked about us posting the link to the Notion. Absolutely, we will do that in Discord in the developer chat discussion, dev chat. So take a look there, and right after this call, I'll post the Notion. Cool.
All right.
That's awesome, Matthew. Thank you so much for walking us through everything that you guys have been working on. And I know that people are excited to see the demo in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, anything else to say?
No, thanks, Ali. And then it was a pleasure to present. Always a pleasure to present the latest updates on our site. And talk to you soon, guys.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Matthew. Take care, everybody. See you on at the next show, either tomorrow or on Thursday. Peace.
I mean, everything is just too slow, and we need to adapt. And that's kind of ridiculous, right? We live in a real-time world.
And I think that's the way that we need to move now.